Hello everybody and welcome back to Virtual Cheese Emporium. As the title clearly states in this video, today I'm going to be showing you a list of my favorite books that I've been reading in general and in quarantine. I love reading them, I'm trying to write one myself, I'll tell you about that later, and I wanted to see if any of my lovely customers liked reading the same books that I do. Here we are with our little stack of surprises that I'm going to be sharing with you all. And hopefully, out of this video, you'll get a really nice reading list. Alright, let's not waste any more time and get started with the reading ranking. The first entry on my favorite books reading list, and I want to talk with you all about, is tada! Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. This is an absolutely wonderful Cinderella retelling from the perspective of our evil stepsisters, and I absolutely love it. At first, I didn't really know what to think of my baby here because it was a lot darker and grittier and more grounded in reality than what I was expecting for a lovely, wondrous fairy tale. But as I was reading on, I came to really like the fall from grace that each of the sisters and the stepmother had, and the redemption arc that came about with the family and everything. Plus all of the fantastical and magical elements that they had, like they did have a fairy godmother, I'm glad that they kept that in, and there was definitely a lot of find the pieces of yourself and make yourself whole in order to become a full-fledged lovely person. And we had a little battle between, what were they called again? I believe Chance and Fate. You either had the chance to make your own path and find a new life, or you could have fate dabble in it and, drive you to despair and misery and, possibly your own death. So I did like that whole journey throughout the entire book, and I would recommend it to anyone who loves a classic Disney retelling of a famous, lovely story. The second book I put on my book favorite list is Catwoman by Sarah J. Maas. At first, just like with the first book, I wasn't really too keen on reading this. I mean, it was a book about superheroes, and there was plenty of other media that I could enjoy superheroes with, like comics and fan fiction and movies and TV shows, all like superheroes, all easier to access, all easier to enjoy. And it was all DC superheroes, and you know how DC sometimes goes. Except for their animated stuff. Their animated stuff is really, really good. I recommend all of it. But then I saw that it was written by the illustrious Sarah J. Maas, and I thought, why not? Let's just give it a try. And I am so glad that I did. We have our action scenes, which is kind of obligatory because it is a superhero book, but it was really well written action scenes. We had our romance that didn't take up the whole story, thank goodness, or else it would have been just really... But it was really cute when it happened. We have our superheroes and supervillains, obviously, and we had the grand trio of female supervillains, 3 guesses on who. And of course, this book just made me fall in love with DC superheroes all over again. So, if you love superheroes, morally gray protagonists, non-cringy girl power narrative, thank goodness this isn't like super uber feminist or else this book would have been kind of garbage. But if you like all of those things, and the power of true love and a good twist ending, this is the book for you. Book number 3 on my favorite books list is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I actually bought this quite recently. I read a sneak peek of this book off of Goodreads, which is actually where I got most of my wondrous collection, and I loved it so much that I just had to get it. So that very same day, Mom drove me over to Barnes & Noble's and I snatched it right up. I would describe this lovely tome as a realistic young love story filled with all sorts of 50s history, a little dash of non-exploitive LGBT representation, and unfortunately, a heaping dose of the sads. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel a little melancholy when I was reading the grittier parts of the story, but that was the 50s, and that's just what they had to suffer through. But fortunately, this book does give a rather happy ending. There are a few silver linings, maybe not as happy as I would have wanted it, but I am glad that our 2 main characters got a good future, and the future that they well deserved. So if you enjoy puppy love, history, and a little bit of melodrama, then I recommend this book highly. And fourth on my wondrous book list is the ever lovely and illustrious Stain by A.G. Howard. This is actually another fairy tale retelling, although this fairy tale is a lot more rare. It's the retelling of The Princess and the Pea, which I haven't read in forever, so I kind of forgot how the story went. But if any of you have good memories and do remember the tale, then that'll give you a bit of context into why our leading lady has no voice and has very delicate skin. The best part of this entire book is A.G. Howard's writing style. It is so nice. It's very detailed, very pretty, very poetic. You can practically see every detail that she writes down. It's awesome. If she writes down the vines, she'll describe all of the vine. You can basically just touch it, and it's awesome. And since we are in a fairy tale retelling, we have many of our fairy tale stereotypes. We have an evil stepmother, we have a gruff but kind old witch, we have magical creatures, and of course, the ever-present and ever-classic power of true love. And of course, a happy ending, because fairy tales, like I said for the fourth time. But if you love your fairy tales and you love your happy endings, just like me, then I recommend this book highly. You are going to love it. And last but not least, the final book I will be recommending to you all is Oh My Goth by Gina Showalter. This was actually a random book grab from Barnes & Nobles. I was desperate, I wanted something to read and something cheap and quick, but this was the best book grab I could have ever destined for myself. You can really feel the personality that Gina Showalter just pours into all of the words whenever she writes this story. And the summary for this one in particular is about a classic rivalry between the goth kids and the preppy kids. But we're in a parallel universe, so our goth girl main lead is the most popular kid in the entire school, while all the preppy kids get bullied and pushed out to the wayside. See how you deal with that? And along with a budding, lovely romance, and a lesson on how to overcome grief, along with a few more things that I can't really touch on because that would be spoilers, I really think that everyone would like this book. Oh, and especially if you like your characters to have very clear and evident personalities when you read it. That was the main focus on why I love this book and all of the other Gina Showalter books. If you like characters' personality and love and grit, I think you will love this book. I've read it like 10 times. I highly recommend. Alright everyone, that is it. That is a list of my absolute most favoriteest, awesomest books that I've read in general and throughout quarantine. I've read and reread them for so long I could practically recite them now. Maybe I'll do a whole recital on my channel, but maybe not, that'll probably take too long. But I do hope that you all got some really great literary recommendations and will be adding these lovely treasures to your bookshelf in the future. But of course, if any of you felt unfulfilled or felt like I skimped out because I made such a small list of books, do not be afraid. This is not going to be my only list video, especially not for any of my books. I'm going to make a few more book lists so that you will all have new recommendations and new ideas onto what to put on your shelf if you're getting bored or if you feel like your book collection is lacking. But if you want to come and see my videos, you have to subscribe to my channel. Actually, no, you don't have to subscribe, but it would be really nice if you did. But anyways, thank you all for coming back to Virtual Cheese Emporium, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Happy reading, and make sure you all stay safe and eat lots of cookies, okay? Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Mwah.